Hello everybody, Dr. Da here, and today I'm going to introduce you into my world of costuming and cosplay. So costuming and cosplay, which cosplay is just a play on two words, costuming and play, so it's all the same thing, all revolves around just that, getting in costume and playing as this character. And what they have done for me as an introvert and having social anxiety and the stuff like that, which I used to suffer from very bad, which I still do to an extent, but costuming and cosplay has really helped me with that because I have always been very antisocial. I'm better off just by myself doing my own thing. I had a couple of close friends, but they were kind of the same way. They're introverts. They didn't want to go out and do stuff. We were just happy doing our own thing at the house or whatever like that. And so costuming and cosplay has forced me to be social, which is actually really scary, but at the same time is great because once I get out of that comfort zone, I can really get into it and get involved. I really come out of my shell and people get to know the real me. And I've met a lot of great people through there and they have gotten to know me and amazing friends. And part of that social anxiety thing too is also not knowing how to handle when people come up to me. And it's also helped with that because when you're in costuming, cosplaying, being these characters, acting out these characters, doing that stuff like that, people will come up to you all the time. They see you having a good time dressed as this character. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know, but still they're just like, they come up and like, hey, I love your costume. What's this, that, whatever. So what it does is it forces me to be used to having people come up to me, total strangers, and ask me questions, talking to them, and it has me deal with those impromptu, just discussions and talking openly and freely. And truthfully, that has been one of the biggest helps for me because it's not scripted, it's not anything, it's there, it happens there on the spot. Another thing it does is it gives me a chance to break away from everything else. When I am these characters and I'm doing my thing, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just thinking about what I'm doing, having a good time, and I can just let all the cares and stress and anxiety of everything else just fall away. And that's what I do. I embrace it, I delve into it, and I just encompass it, and it rewards me in that way. And part of me is like, I am a very creative person. Like I've talked about before, I like to draw and do stuff like that. And being a creative person, just looking at some of these elaborate costumes that are in video games, movies, or whatever, it's inspiring. Like, somebody had to make that. And that was my thing, is like, you can see stuff somewhere and it's like, oh, I can buy this piece there, that piece there. But to me, the creativity of making myself, the satisfaction of making myself is really what part of what the costuming drives in me is I love being creative and just seeing these amazing things that I come up with my own two hands and then people coming up reacting to them and just it blows me away and it makes me feel really good. So if you're just getting into cosplay, you might be asking yourself, where do I find inspiration for this stuff? What should I cosplay? Well, the answer isn't quite super simple. But basically is whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Just have fun with it. But a lot of places that people get inspiration from are places like such as video games. I've seen a bunch of people playing as Master Chief from Halo, tons of Links from Legend of Zelda, and stuff like that. I've seen stuff from God of War, because there's so much out there in video games. And you look at some of these characters in these video games, their costumes are pretty elaborate. Yes, they're drawn. They might not be as easy to make, but you can make a representation of it. It doesn't have to be spot on one-to-one, but you can make your own version of it and people will know what it is. Another big popular one, obviously World of Warcraft. I've seen a lot of Borderlands ones, stuff like that. That's one big thing. Other ones is movies. There's tons of sci-fi, fantasy movies out there, TV shows. Of course, I've seen like all the superheroes, Deadpool's, Thor's, Iron Man, all the Marvel Cinematic Universe from head to toe. I've seen it. And there's also the comic book characters, because all those are based off comic book characters. And people will do like the historic characters from the comic books instead of like the movies. But the range of anything from no matter race, color, size, whatever, you can find it. And you don't have to stick to stuff that's your own. Or you can crossplay and to do it any way you want. If you're a guy, you can cosplay as a girl. If you're a girl, you can cosplay as a guy. It doesn't matter. And nobody else really cares. It's about having fun and doing it and enjoying it. And that way, it doesn't matter what you cosplay. Another one is, obviously, there's anime, which some people aren't into the whole anime thing. But it's there. And, I see that everywhere. And there are some really elaborate costumes from that, too. And once again, I've seen people do like just all ranges of it, and I'm really impressed with some of the craftsmanship and thought and creativity that goes into these that these people put in. Other options are, maybe you play D&D, something like that, or not. Don't even have to play it, but maybe you have this vision of this character in your head. Who's to say you can't do that? You don't have to do something that's already been done. Most of my characters are just ones I've put together in my head and I've made my own, because that way I can personify them any way that I want to. If you cosplay as a Deadpool, people expect you to act like Deadpool. If you cosplay as Iron Man, people expect you to act like Iron Man, Tony Stark. But when you do your own character, you have free reign to do it any way you want. So that's really the way I go, because that gives me the most freedom to interpret things my way and represent it to where people see it. And I still get lots of people say, I love it. That sometimes they'll ask, where's it from? And say, oh, it's my own character. And they're like, that is awesome. And that's what it is. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's creative, and the inspirations are endless. If you're on the fence about doing cosplay, the only thing I can say is just do it. It's a lot of fun, and use it to find that spark that drives you, to spark your creativity. And if you can, make some of it yourself. Use that creativity to embellish it and do things that you made yourself, because I'm telling you, it is very, very rewarding. Do it and just get out there. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid to wear something that you're like, oh, why am I wearing this? I'm going to show you some of my cosplays here in a minute, and there's going to be some stuff in there that you're like, why is a grown-ass man wearing something like this? Because it's fun, and it's engaging, and it's entertaining, and it's a lot of personal satisfaction. So I've done a lot of cosplays over the year, and all of them have their own points of why I enjoy them and why I want to do them and continue doing them. And I'm going to show you some of those now. And the first one is the one that I use the most. It's the one that is just my easy go-to, but you can have a lot of fun, and it is my pirate. And being a pirate is a lot of fun because you're just a rogue, you're a wanderer, you just act a fool, you sit there and act almost like Johnny Depp drunk from Pirates of the Caribbean, and you just stumble around, interact with people, and it is a lot of fun to do. And I've gone to some great pirate events with it. I've gone to Ren fairs. I've done it at conventions, and it is all around the easiest to do, a lot of fun, and a really fun character to do. And I mean, come on, who doesn't love a pirate? Drinking rum all day. Grog, come on. Right? So another one I do is an orc loosely based off Lord of the Rings. And the orc is a lot of fun, and it gets a lot of attention. It's one of my rather warmer costumes because it is like a full suit of leather armor, and it gets hot in there. And I've worn that in downtown Atlanta in the middle of summer, and it's not comfortable, but sometimes you have to suffer for your art. But I've gotten a lot of comments on that one. I've met a lot of other great orcs. I've done some Lord of the Rings photo shoots with it. Got contacted by some groups that possibly wanted to use it for some small short films, but nothing ever went there with that. But I still really enjoyed this one too. Another set of characters that I do with a group of friends of mine is Umbrella Corporation from the Resident Evil movies and video games. And we play the Umbrella Security Services, USS, and we're in full tactical gear, riot gear, and it is a lot of fun to do. It's another warm one, but it is a fun one to do. And, you out there, and I've done full shoots with those. I've sat there and met some of the voice actors from the video games. And there is actually a really, really big Resident Evil cosplay community here in the U.S. that's on Facebook, and they're a bunch of great people. And we all enjoy it, and we all have a good time with that one. Another one that's gotten popularity in the years in general is steampunk. Steampunk, Victorian era, but with embellishments. To me, it's almost like the Industrial Revolution hit during the Victorian era with Tesla-powered energy instead of hitting in industrial America the times that it normally did hit. And there's, once again, some very creative stuff with that, and you can get very elaborate with it. And there are steampunk groups everywhere. There's a bunch of just specific steampunk conventions. Then just about any regular convention too is going to have, alt history steampunk tracks to where you can go talk to other people that are into the same thing. Other things I've done are also like my own variation of a Sith Lord from Star Wars. That was a lot of fun. That one was another easy one to wear because it was just a very light robe for the most part, besides all the embellishments I did. If you're really into Star Wars, there's some really big Star Wars groups here in the U.S., actually worldwide, but some of them have really strict, criteria in order to get in because a lot of those groups will do like screen accuracy stuff, which I'm not going for that. I just like to have fun. I'm not all about being super screen accurate. Now, this one is the one that I was talking about, get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I did Business Kitty from the Lego movie, and it was hilarious. I had so much fun in that one. And I took that one to Dragon Con down in Atlanta. And out of everything I've ever done, that's probably the one I've gotten the most comments and most interaction out of because it's like, oh my God, it's a huge Business Kitty. And it was fun. I was just going around partying, dancing, having a good time, and everybody just ate it up. I ate it up, and it was amazing. So that's what I'm saying. Get out of your comfort zone and do something that you wouldn't think you normally like to do. And trust me, you'll enjoy it. And as far as breaking out of your comfort zone, doing something like you're not really sure about, one thing that I did with a group of friends of mine is we went as cowboys. Another one we did in Atlanta at Dragon Con, we're like, you know what, we're going to do cowboys one day. And we dressed up as cowboys, and it was a hit. People loved it. We sat there, we went to like Ted's Montana Grill or something like that, dressed up as a bunch of cowboys, and the staff, the crowd, everything was just eating it up, and it was a ton of fun. Now, if you're sitting there thinking about going and doing cosplay and going to conventions, Ren fairs, whatever, a couple of tips I have for doing it the first time is, it's hard to say because being an introvert and having social anxiety like I do, but just introduce yourself to other people. See somebody else in costume you like, or a certain part of their costume. Just go up and say, hey, I really like that, and talk to them about the processes they did. And it's a way to open up and start a conversation. And it's something that you both have an interest in, so it's a lot easier to talk about. And when you introduce yourself, it's also networking because then people will start to recognize you. Some people have like little cosplay pages on Facebook and they'll swap little business cards or whatever. And sometimes you'll get photographers coming up to you and they'll give you cards so you can tag yourself in them. And you network and you get to know people, and it helps to know people when you go do stuff like this. And when you're there doing it, be the character that you're playing. When I'm an orc, I don't just walk around like, hey, I'm an orc. I get full into it with the growly voice and, the snarky little lines and stuff like they used to use in the movies and stuff like that, because that really helps embellish the character and your cosplay, and that will draw more people in. And it makes the whole event and going to these places a lot more enjoyable when you can interact with people. Because if you go to a big crowd of people and you're not interacting with anybody, that's when my social anxiety kicks in. Is because I'm just like surrounded by people, I'm not interacting, and I just feel like compressed and restricted. And so I do everything I can to break out of that. And being in character, walking up to other people and introducing myself and asking them about their costumes and doing stuff like that is what helps me when I do that. And as you do it, you'll start to find people that are in it. You might find some that are local. And I would suggest, like finding a group of locals, getting a group of local friends that are into the same thing. Because then you have people with you that are always into the same thing you are, have something to talk about, and it's not awkward. You're not socially awkward like I am all the time. And it's a way to have people to go do these events with, because it's fun to do these events by yourself, but it's even more fun when you have other people to do with it. Get together, come up with group cosplays, and go out and do it. And places to do these things, obviously there's conventions. There's conventions year round all over the U.S. And there's Renaissance fairs all over the U.S. all throughout the year. And, I'm sitting there, like I said, I'm on the East Coast. I'm actually in North Carolina. So, I just got done going to Galaxy Con here in Raleigh. I go to the Carolina Renaissance Festival, and that's a really fun one to do. And I've got a lot of friends there. Go find us under the trees. That's where we'll be. Comic cons, which are kind of the same as conventions, but they're involved more strictly around comic books. But you don't have to do a comic book character if you're cosplaying at a Comic Con. I've gone as, pirate, anything to these, and it's still the same environment. But it's just all the vendors and the events are all geared towards around comic books. So that's it. That's basically me and my cosplay. And I hope maybe it's giving you some inspiration, maybe, to possibly cosplay yourself. And if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. That's all I can ever say is just do it. And not the meme, just do it. Literally, just do it. Because it is a lot of fun. And hey, if you're in the NC area and you're going to a convention or a Ren Fair and you want to meet up there, hit me up. Or, if you want to get into it but you're scared to go to one of those things by yourself, hit me up again. Me and my friends were very open, very welcoming, and we love newcomers because it is a fun thing, and it's fun seeing people with that newly acquired passion for doing these things. So do it, have fun, cosplay, and I'll see you guys next time.